My name is Iyad Alis. Both my parents were born and raised in Palestine. My wife is from Palestine. Both her parents were born and raised in Palestine as well. We came down here just to show our support of all the innocent people being victimized by the current battle between Palestine and Israel. And when I say all innocent people, that's on both sides, for the innocent victims of Palestine as well as Israel.
Well, we're here to tell the world that we don't appreciate what Israel's doing with Gaza.
We're out here just hoping to call for an end to the siege of Gaza, an end to all civilian attacks on both sides.
Without a doubt, unarguably, there is an over-aggression going on from the Israeli side. They are bombing Gaza to bits relentlessly, regardless of who the targets might be, whether they are alleged militants or civilians. There are civilians that are being killed.
Israel is bombing and shelling the crap out of Gaza. I mean, they're dropping bombs, they're doing airstrikes. Pretty soon they may be even doing a ground offensive.
And this has just been a very unfortunate, ongoing situation. It's been going on for quite some time right now. A lot of people might be seeing the news today and believing that this is something that's been going on strictly in the last 1 to 2 days. But in actuality, this has been going on much longer than that, with blockage of aid, food and medical aid, and otherwise going to Gaza that is being blocked by the Israelis, by the Israeli government right now.
What Israel is doing in Gaza is absolutely wrong. It's not maybe wrong. It's not a response to attacks. They have imprisoned people. They have a suffocating blockade. They treat people without dignity. I've just been on the West Bank for 2 weeks, and I will say that, particularly speaking as a Jew, it horrified me, because the sheer calculation to harass and drive out people by the armed Israeli forces, who are immensely armed, is very great. Now, Israel killed a 14-year-old. So in Gaza, there's some folks who like to shoot off missiles. They're little missiles, and they mainly don't hit anything. Israel killed more people and more civilians and more children than the Hamas and company have killed in the last 3 years yesterday.
The Israelis have been enforcing a blockade now for quite some time. They've been extremely limiting the amount of food and medical aid going in. Gaza, geographically speaking, is a very small territory. There's over 1.5 million people living in there. So when they're limiting the amount of food, for example, that's allowed to go into Gaza, they are essentially starving an entire people. And that's exactly what's going on. And for the people that are in need of medical assistance, that's also been a huge issue for them as well. It's gotten to the point right now where hospitals in Gaza have literally had to turn around people that were in desperate need of emergency care because of the limitation of food and medical equipment.
In the American press, this is all covered completely dishonestly. It's, covered as, gee, the poor little state of Israel. And the poor little state of Israel is, in fact, oppressing the Palestinians and needs to reach a decent, humane settlement with them. And what's going on is that Israel is trying to move everybody out of the occupied territories and expand to greater Israel. That's what the governing coalition wants to do.
Oh, it looks like the Palestinians are the aggressors, and that is not the case.
We're here today, one and all. You can see over here, we have Jews here, we have Americans here, we have Palestinians here. We just want to see a peaceful end for both sides.
It's unacceptable for Palestinians to keep on living in such conditions where nobody cares, where the U.S. does not recognize a Palestinian as a person having full rights. Here in the media, we hear that it was started by Hamas throwing rockets, which is not true. It started on November 8th when a 13-year-old kid was playing football, and a military tank shot at him. 2 days later, Palestinian resistance shot at an Israeli tank that was besieging Gaza, and they wounded 4 Israeli soldiers. You have 3 Israelis who died, and it's all over the news. 3 Israelis died, it's in the headline. But then when it comes to the Palestinians, I don't know, they're up to 20 by now. It's a sideline thing. So, it's just not fair. It's all, there should not be Jewish superiority. This is the whole idea. There should be equal rights for everybody in Palestine. Americans, I don't know if they just don't care to know. Americans are just too busy with their lives. You know, now Christmas is around the corner, it's Christmas shopping, paying their mortgage. They're just so involved in their day-to-day activities where they forget. And the media does not help. Americans, I mean, everything they hear, it's in bits and pieces. I mean, it's all like there's so much omitting. So much has been omitted, so they get the Zionist point of view. I would just want them to wake up, because you know what? Americans really need to know, because the American people are responsible, partly because of their tax money. This is a democracy. I mean, they are responsible to know and to make a change as to what their money is doing. Israel cannot survive without U.S. money. Okay, occupation cannot survive without the U.S. money. So I really hold the American people. I understand where they're coming from, because I'm American too, you know, so I'm not blaming them, but I just really wish they would wake up one day. I mean, I just hope they wake up one day.
You see, unfortunately, the Palestinians' cause now is lost in the world. The Palestinians live outside law and order, and they are expected to abide by law and order. What is happening is that the Israelis, and especially at the Netanyahu and Barak deal, that they are trying to get Jerusalem, let the Palestinians leave their homes and take it over. And in Gaza also, they are not trying to let the Palestinians live a normal life. With the closure of Gaza and the suffering of the people, where they have no food, no water, no communication with the world, they have to build undergrounds and in order to get supplies coming from Egypt. And the situation now is so bad that Netanyahu wants to prove himself to the Israeli people, that he is a man of courage, he is a man, he can kill Palestinians, and with the number of Palestinians killed, he will be able to win the election in January. The situation is so bad in Gaza and the West Bank that the Palestinians lost hope that there will be a settlement or there will be a Palestinian state in their own homes. And the world is looking around, ignoring the plight of the Palestinians as a whole. Well, I like to see President Obama take leadership, become a peace leader in the world. And this is his time to act, because he won the Nobel Prize for Peace. To have peace in the area does not mean that the United States is committed to support Israel, right or wrong. The President Obama now can form let's say an army of people who can make peace. Like he can have an army of social scientists, of peacemakers, and send them to Palestine and the Arab world in order to negotiate, have some kind of dialogue between the people, not the governments, and stop supporting Israel, right or wrong. For President Obama to be now a world leader, or a peaceful man, he should do like what President Kennedy did with the Peace Corps. President Obama can form an army or a group of social scientists, academics, people who understand history, people who understand people, to try to negotiate between the Israelis and the Palestinians and have justice and peace. This is the only way we can have peace. But peace doesn't come with more support to Israel, with more arms, with more support in the United Nations, right or wrong. Peace can only come with justice. And I'm afraid that what is going to happen now is that the Third World War is imminent. The world now is suffering, is in the same situation and the same position like at the time of the pre-First World War condition. We have to understand now the changes in the world. Russia is not the Soviet Union. Russia is now nationalistic Russia. China is not the Chinese China. It is a nationalistic China. Europe now is in jeopardy because Germany is taking lead in the economy, but other countries in Europe are suffering from economical situation. And the idea is that the only way to solve the economic problems, the social problems, is to start a war. And the Third World War that will involve everybody. And I believe Netanyahu wants to put the United States in a position that they join a war if he attacks Iran and if he starts a big war with Gaza and Syria, and that will be the Third World War, the beginning of the Third World War, which I hope President Obama will lead and would lead the world in a peaceful suggestion like the Peace Corps that President Kennedy did, with having an army of peace composed of scientists and not people in the military.
My name is Iyad Alis. Both my parents were born and raised in Palestine. My wife is from Palestine. Both her parents were born and raised in Palestine as well. We came down here just to show our support of all the innocent people being victimized by the current battle between Palestine and Israel. And when I say all innocent people, that's on both sides, for the innocent victims of Palestine as well as Israel.
Well, we're here to tell the world that we don't appreciate what Israel's doing with Gaza.
We're out here just hoping to call for an end to the siege of Gaza, an end to all civilian attacks on both sides.
Without a doubt, unarguably, there is an over-aggression going on from the Israelis.
It's bombing and shelling the crap out of Gaza. I mean, they're dropping bombs, they're doing airstrikes. Pretty soon they may be even doing a ground offensive.
And this has just been an very unfortunate, ongoing situation. They are bombing Gaza to bits relentlessly, regardless of who the targets might be, whether they are alleged militants or civilians. There are civilians that are being killed.
Israel